everybody, and welcome to the 235th edition of the Frank and Stan chat. And I say every week when we have a guest joining us, those of you on video will see that we've got Chelsea Slater from InnovateHer has come back to join us again, her second visit to the chat. Hello, Chelsea.
Hello, very excited to be here once again.
Yeah, it's great to have you with us. I mean, it's a big day in the Slater life, isn't it? Because actually, you're moving house today.
I'm moving house this afternoon, yeah. So
Wow.
you're lucky to have me this
Oh,
morning.
no, but it's the lull before the storm. That's what's happening
Yeah,
here. So
and there's an
hopefully,
actual storm coming.
yeah, there is.
Yeah, it's going to be apparently the worst rain in a decade, so that'll be fun.
Oh wow.
Storm Amy.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what
There
it's
was
called.
there was a storm Frank as well a few years ago, which
Was
Yeah.
everybody threatened was going to be awful, but wasn't as bad as they thought. I think that's probably a story of my life.
it?
Not quite as good as people were expecting.
Yeah.
That could be an epithet, Frank.
Oh dear. Yeah, Chelsea. To be honest, I think we could spend 35 minutes just chatting about Innovate Her.
Oh, I know.
And perhaps we will do that as a special spotlight edition when we have you back again. But yeah, so do you want to just explain? I think it's interesting how you became the sort of person you are and the job you've got. Wouldn't mind a little bit of background on that. I think it'd be quite interesting for people who watch
Yeah.
this. Particularly perhaps younger members who are thinking, "Oh, I wonder what my career could look like." All this sort of stuff. So do you want to just take us through it?
Yeah, I'll give you a bit of a brief history. So I landed in this role as a fluke, I always say. I didn't expect when I was younger to run a social enterprise or a business or any of this stuff. My granddad was an entrepreneur after he retired.
Oh, we'll see.
Yeah, he ran a taxi company and I worked for him when I was like 14, 15. So like I seen him in that role and was very inspired by that. Um and we've just been talking about this actually, but back in school, I studied media studies, which maybe we can come on to that another time. But that was like such a catalyst for me to get into like technology and journalism and the digital world. It exposed me to that. I remember someone coming and doing an assembly promoting it, and I was like, yes, I'm in. I want to do that. That sounds
Oh,
so
wow. So you can
yeah,
actually remember that moment in,
yeah.
oh gosh,
Vividly, 20,
right.
20-minute talk. This guy, I remember what he looks like. I don't know his name, but I remember what he looks like. And I was like, and I wasn't really into school. I was quite good at school, like
Mhm.
naturally, but wasn't really into it. I was quite naughty actually in secondary school. I got suspended once, but we won't
Really?
go into
Come
that.
on, we gotta have the. Why did you get suspended?
I think we need to
Tell us.
go.
Oh no, I can't go into it. I was being naughty basically. I wasn't in school a lot and they
Right,
caught
yeah, yeah.
so So yeah, they expect suspended me for a bit, or is it excluded when they? No,
Well,
suspension is
yeah,
a
suspension, yeah. Just give you a few days
week.
away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a few days.
Calm down. Sort
Yeah,
everything
Sorry,
out in your
Chelsea, but
mind.
we had this conversation with a student about 3 or 4 years ago, where we were looking into how we deal with children who are absent from school, and
yeah.
she'd been suspended, and she said, "So I hadn't been to school, and what did the school do? But
Send me
suspend
home.
me." Yeah, who thought that one through?
Oh no,
15-year-old challenging all these people, saying, "Well, who thought that through?"
I know I was buzzing, but my mum wasn't. So I was like, oh, okay, like this isn't
Uh,
good. So yeah, but I remember like from the meet, like when I was able to take or to choose my own options, things like massively turned around for me because I think I was in control of that decision.
right.
I loved it, and since then, I did a BTEC in multimedia, so that was like a catalyst for me going and doing that. That was very creative. Then I went to university, moved here to Liverpool, did
What did you study at university?
media again,
Media. Yeah,
media, cultural studies, and marketing.
right.
And it was there. I had a couple of jobs to like, I had to have jobs to live there, but I ended up in events, which then led me to a tech company that was promoting the events, and then that's how I got into tech. But then after uni, when I was working in tech full time, I was doing like digital marketing and business development stuff. It was there that I realized that I was the only woman in the office. And then when I did a bit more digging, I was like, well, there's not many of us anywhere. So it led me to be very passionate and interested, I suppose, around women in tech and how we can get more women to be in an industry that I fell in love with really early on. So I was about 23 when all of this kicked off. I was still young. So I started Liverpool Girl Geeks, which was like a community in Liverpool that put on events to inspire women,
So
adult women
did you do
mostly.
that in addition to your job, or did you give up
In
initially?
addition, until 2015, and then I thought, oh, this is quite demanding, this community. I need to do more because they were like, oh well, you've inspired us now. I want to learn the skills. Will you put on workshops? I was like, when am I going to have the time to do this? But then, because the industry and society was quite interested in women tech, I had people going, we will sponsor this. So I was like, right, I could actually do this full time, get paid a little bit to
Mm.
do it, and build it into something. So it was around 2015 when InnovateHer started. And I was reflecting back at like the media studies guy who came to the assembly, and I thought, we're going to have to go into schools because that's when, particularly girls, I think girls choose their careers a bit younger than boys. I
Right.
think some research around that. And they're more I'm generalizing, but they're more like if they've picked something, they'll stay on that route, whereas boys will take a few more risks and like try a few other things out. So I was like, we need to get to girls before they're making these decisions. So Innovate Here was born. About 2017, we launched, and yeah, that was a brand that went into schools, and that's what we do today is work with school children from the age of 7 to 17
And it's
now,
free, isn't it? This is the thing that
completely free.
you've kept it free because businesses sponsor, well, in a sense, it's sponsorship, but they donate money. They get something in return, but they're putting something back, aren't they?
Yeah, so we work with them on like co-branded content for our e-learning platform. So a lot of the work that we're doing now is on our e-learning platform, which is this year. So since I was last on this, it's flying
Yeah.
the e-learning platform. We've got teachers, like this morning, about 4 teachers have signed up to it. But they like we've got Space Week coming up, so they're all gearing up for that and they want to work with us. So they're signing up to the platform because we're launching a new assembly on there. Um, so it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all free, and yeah, the companies support us through the work, and then in return, they're hoping that they or the young people will come and work for them because they want a diverse workforce. So it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and also you still do ambassadorial talks, don't you? So you still have those assembly talks, which was the sort of thing that kicked you off as well. So I suppose that's an important element of the face-to-face bit of it, actually seeing somebody as opposed to just being online.
Absolutely, that definitely. So like 25% even more is all in person facilitation. So role model talks, assemblies. That's kind of like the first thing a school does with us.
Yeah,
And then they'll go onto the e-learning platform and start to weave that into lessons because we've got about 40 different activities on there, including long form courses and shorter form courses that they can run, which is all around technology, which is obviously moving so fast and is in every single lesson and well, it should be in every
yes,
single lesson in industry now.
yeah. It's a, if anybody, I mean, I will put the link at the end of the video and probably be at the beginning as well. But you just need to go on to innovateher.co.uk, is it? Yeah.
The main thing there.
And
Yeah.
then you'll see the platform and everything, and you can, if you're a teacher or you're a governor, whatever you want to get your school involved, then you just need to sign up. But it is some of the best stuff I do and most enjoyable stuff I
Oh,
do. So thank
thanks,
you.
Frank.
Right. So that's where we're at. I can see Stan just moving his position there, thinking he's coming to me now. He's coming to me.
I was only thinking, in fact, that maybe that's something I've missed as a governor. I've not really tested whether the school's interested in doing something with tech. I mean, they're well on with tech, but that might be interesting to see if they've thought about girls into technology as a.
Well, there's if they do innovate her programs, the evidence suggests, and I'm going to give you the chance to say this, Chelsea, but it has a direct positive impact on the number of students who want to study, related subjects to that.
Yeah, so I mean, our social impact report's going to come out soon, and on average, we've seen a 67% increase of girls taking GCSE tech-related GCSEs this year. In some schools, we have 300% increase, but on average, 67%. It's amazing, and that could just be from a couple of activities from us.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I mean, there is concerns for me in that because, as I said earlier, tech should be in every single lesson, in
Yes.
my view. But actually, and the computer science curriculum, I don't think is probably the best that it could be. But we complement that. But it is definitely a route in, isn't it?
Yeah.
To
It's
tech.
interesting. My son's heavily involved in this. I mean, he has a job as a in this area, and his route was in. He was always very good at writing, so his route was into that. And then he studied a master's degree at Manchester Met on digital broadcasting, and journalism. And of course, you don't realise then that sort of one of the issues is making sure that the platforms that you produce actually use language that is very accessible for the client. So he then got involved in that, and now he's in this sort of UX area. So yeah, for me, it's a fascinating world because he's keeping abreast of these changes. And I think the issue, we'll probably get onto this at the end, is there's a lot of movement of people in this industry. It seems to me, from what I can gather, there's often quite a lot of movement. So people get their professional development not by going on so much courses, but by going to work for somebody else in a different field. Is that correct, Chelsea?
Yeah, and there is people from all walks of life doing roles that you would never expect them to have done from the education that they've received.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? Is that there's so much like transferable skills. I just think the most important thing is for young people now to have a curiosity about digital and an awareness of how they can use tech. They don't have to be coders.
No, that's
They don't have to be like data analysts, but they need to know what that is and what they can use that for and understand the ethics of it and all of that because tech is absolutely everywhere with AI now too. I just think it's important that level of understanding and also probably use of technology physically, like laptops, your phone, AI tools. They are unfortunately like the digital inclusion piece
yes.
is becoming more and more prevalent because everything is moving online, banking, NHS,
Mm.
all of that. So people do need a basic awareness of it, otherwise they're gonna be massively left out and worse, maybe really disadvantaged as well.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. There was that work I've referred to, about the work that was going on in the borders, which was around giving, a really structured digital program for students from year 1 to year 13. But that actually involved a very secure base structure environment for those iPads and whatever to go home. But one of the big benefits, which was not originally thought, was the impact it has on parents and the young people actually educating parents on what this is. And of course, if you have a safe environment, you can do that in a platform. Then that's a much better place than just saying, we'll go online.
Yeah.
So there were some major benefits for adults as well. So it might be where Innovate Her might need to go in the future, Chelsea.
I know it is being talked about,
I know.
but yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
but anyway, that might be the next
I
step.
mean, we're at the point now where, I mean, my mother passed away over the summer, but in the last 3 or 4 years, there was so much expectation that she would be able to go online and do things. You know, people didn't believe she didn't have Wi-Fi at home, she didn't have
Yeah.
computer, and you know, that's probably worse day by day. If
Yeah.
you're of a generation or of a level of disadvantage that you don't have that access, because there are so many things now that there is no other way of doing it.
No. No.
I mean, I was whinging 2 weeks ago about some things that haven't moved on and still require paper, like like probate, where you've got to send the original will to them with a wet signature, and you can't use any copy. Whereas the banks were saying, well, just photograph it and send us a photograph.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I moan about that now as well. Like if I've got to physically print something, I go insane. But interestingly, I'm going off on one a bit, but yesterday I was on an AI course and the AI facilitator was talking to me about because I asked him whether he'd heard of the smartphone free campaign. Have you heard of that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a brilliant campaign. And he was like, well, there's a trend, like he's seeing a trend of young people or their parents wanting like the phones back for their children because they can only text on it, they can't use the internet.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a little bit of a shift within young people of like not wanting to be on social media. So I do think there is going to be hope. I'm hoping for this as well because I think the social media companies are too powerful,
Yeah.
or one in particular. But I think that would be a really positive thing to see. But it's interesting, isn't it, that if that is a trend, we're like almost going against this new technology, the internet, social media, all of that stuff. So it'd be interesting in the next few years to see where that goes.
Yeah. I mean, it gets to a point though where the social media aspect is so, it's so negative and so
Yeah,
destructive that you think, do I really want this in my life anymore? I want to sort of have something slightly different, but well, let's hope. I mean, let's hope there is
yeah.
that shift. I'm conscious of time. So, Stan, what's caught your eye this week?
Uh, I've nearly forgotten now. So interested
Do
in
you want me to remind you?
so something that came up. It came up in Newsweek this week, but it had also come up in our conversations before, which is about comparing similar schools or using Ofsted's tools to compare schools that have a similar intake or a similar balance of SEN or a similar community that they serve in order that they're treated fairly. I often used to use the comparison. I worked in the inner city where if you were looking at the school environment, you were talking about were there any burnt out cars on the playground, were there any needles near the sand pits, etc. That was a job for the school to make sure. Whereas when I moved into a more rural area, it was more about whether the daffodils were straight and whether there were enough flowers in the flower bed. And yet those two schools would be compared
Yeah.
on the same criteria, which to me always felt as though it was unfair.
Mm.
But the downside is the argument it put forward is you're just trying to lower the standards for those schools that are in tough areas. And I don't believe you are. I think you're recognizing how much harder those schools have to work to get the results. And I think there's certainly when I worked for Ofsted, our mentor seemed to have a view that once you'd made a certain level, then progress for the rest of your education was you were on that slope then.
Yeah.
So that if at the end of reception the children were meeting the early learning goals, job done. So there was no more work in keeping them on that
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that then it became, oh, you're just making excuses, as opposed to saying, no, I'm trying to recognize the additional work or the different work that has to go in these kind of circumstances to make the changes that they make. And I mean, I think we all know some of the schools in the toughest areas have some brilliant teachers
Mm.
that get the best out of those kids. And I just don't think we recognise that. And nobody ever talks about taking teachers from really tough schools and putting them into the brightest schools to see what difference they could make.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
always the other way around. It's always high
Yeah.
achieving schools will take the star teachers from there and take them into these difficult schools, and they'll show the staff how to do it. And it's something that Martin Oliver actually said at his interview that he would do, and it's something I remember when he said it, saying, right, if that's what he's doing, that's brilliant. And I understand it was mentioned in discussions rather than in the inspection process. But if it's coming, I'm all for that.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. Um, Chelsea, what's caught your eye this week?
So the Labour conference has been on in Liverpool, and I got to be on a Women in Tech roundtable discussion, which was amazing with the MP Samantha Niblett. She founded Labour Women in Tech. So when I seen Labour Women in Tech a few years ago, I thought I was really hopeful. I was like, this is on the government's agenda. And then at the conference, Liz Kendall,
Oh yeah,
yeah, she announced that they are setting up a Women in Tech task force, which was in the news today, after oh, not today, a couple of days ago
yes,
after the talk, after the announcement, which I think for me, and that she talked a lot about diversity, and the importance of it. That's a really good and clear statement for me. Like I'm like, right, they're setting up this task force, which is brilliant. They're doing something about it. It's on the agenda.
yeah,
I think what we've seen over the last year, probably since I was last on here, is that there's a lot of fear around talking about diversity and inclusion because of what's going on in the US and here, actually, with some parties here. And the fact that people like Liz are coming out and saying, no, diversity is actually a priority for us. These are the benefits. And then women in tech being so prevalently discussed. I think that is, it gives me a lot of hope. But I also think we'll need to see a lot more. And I'm hoping that it isn't just a talking shop, because these things can often be, a great announcement and a task. I like the word task force because it feels like it'll be a little bit more actionable. But whether it will be and whether that was the plan is to call it task force because it'll look like
yeah.
this. We'll
But it
soon have
is
to
just a
see.
talking
Are
shop.
you going to try and get yourself on the task
Well,
force?
that's
I
exactly
think
how are you going to do that, Chelsea? How do we get you on the task force?
I'd love to be on it because I think it's already been set up. That's the only thing. But one of the
Am I disappointed then, Stan? Do you
Yeah,
understand why? You know,
yeah.
yeah.
we
Let's
announced the
set things
task
up before
force.
we've asked everybody who's
Yeah,
involved.
shouldn't we have just said we're going to have a task force? We want people in the sector to step forward to
And
help us select that, rather than say, "Oh well, we've had a little inside chat about who might be on the task force. These are people that we think are going to be helpful."
The
So
people that we know.
I think,
well, yeah, and that's what I want to keep an eye on because I think a really important thing is to have regional perspective. We don't like. I loved that roundtable was in Liverpool, but obviously it was because the conference was in
yeah,
Liverpool. I said to Samantha, like, I've really enjoyed being part of this today. I get invited to London, but I can't come every week because it's so expensive for us.
it's the entire day lost, isn't it?
Yeah, or more sometimes if
Yes,
it's in
yes,
the morning, they have to travel down. And also, they don't tell me about these things until a few days
I know.
before.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
then the cost goes up more, and I've already got important things in the diary. So I would love to see, or I'll be keeping my eye on who makes up the task force. I know that they've announced two people that are on it. Um, and whether yeah what will the calls to action be and will there be a regional perspective because I still see the majority of women in tech stuff and the organizations that are really driving this are in London.
yeah.
Mm.
and it's very London centric, and the businesses that are down there are backing them, which is great. But where is the support for us and all the work we're doing? We're doing national stuff, but we're mostly in the
Yeah,
Northwest,
yeah,
and we need support here to scale our programs. And also, we've got real areas in need which we can deliver within. So yeah, I have hope, but it will dwindle if nothing
no,
like
well,
concrete comes out.
I mean, yeah, we'll share afterwards. But if we need to put some pressure on to get you on that task force, so let's see what we can do.
Yeah,
Okay,
mission
yeah.
on.
All right. Well, what's caught my eye this week? Two things for me is I had my hernia operation at Stepping Hill on Monday. I was there, got there about 7 in the morning, and there were about 40 people waiting to have their ops all registering and everything. Um, Actually, it made me think if ever you were ill, you had a cold, the place you didn't want to be is that room. I mean, just about to go in for an operation, you're sort of huddled in this small little room. But everybody was really kind, helpful. It went like clockwork. It really did. And I think for me, I remember Dennis Skinner, the Bolsover MP, who said, he was a big advocate for the NHS, and he said, it was a Chinese consultant, it was a Nigerian nurse. Well, I
Well,
had that experience at Stepping Hill, and it was absolutely amazing. And it didn't, to me, the origin of the person made no difference because actually they were all very caring, they were all very nice, and they were all very concerned about how I was feeling. So I really just want to thank Stepping Hill and everybody that I had contact with, for the support, and hopefully, I'll have a be able to get back to doing some proper walking and running in due course. But the other point was around, again, I saw a report today saying that 30% of secondary school head teachers left their posts within 3 years. Now that doesn't mean to see that they may have resigned, or they might have gone on to another job. We don't know that. It could be that they were a bigger school, but that level of churn is deeply worrying. But and also for me, I can see the pressures that particularly secondary school leaders have. So I'm not surprised by that figure, but actually, unless there is some attention given to that, we won't have the stability, to see anything through.
Yeah.
So some major issues here about that. What are you going to say, Stan?
I was just to say, is that related to the introduction of multi-academy trusts and the structures within those, and if you like, the governance arrangements?
Yeah.
Because certainly a local authority probably didn't have as much or put as much pressure on the day-to-day running of a school as perhaps some multi-academy trusts do, and that sort of distance isn't there, is it? In some,
No. And it may be that the head teachers in previously we never had in local authority days executive head teachers. So it could be a head teacher's moved into an executive role. It's still within that school, but it's not the
yeah,
same role. So it is a bit more complicated. But it does feel to me as if, just with people moving every 3 years, anybody who's led a school will realise, as we have, that if you want to get a culture right, it's going to take a
Yeah.
little bit more than just three
yeah.
years. So but yeah,
Did,
so I
does it,
think
did the data say anything about where they're going? Like, are they leaving the sector or is
no,
it?
I didn't get into the detail of that, and perhaps that's something I should have done, but no, it didn't. But it's sort of some of the work I do, voluntary work I do, is around sort of on boards, and I know Stan's involved in this as well. At times it's and you have Chelsea. You know that you need to get the balance right between the challenge and the encouragement and the support. All of that is sometimes you reflect on it. Well, perhaps I was a bit too challenging. Perhaps I was a bit too soft. I should have pushed back on it. This is, I think, a sort of issue that you need all of those factors. I think in the sort of discussions and your sort of work with senior leaders, whether they're secondary heads or just heads of InnovateHer. You know what I mean? I mean,
But
it's
if your leadership's changing every 3 years, then it's really important that it's the governors that hold the vision,
yeah.
culture, and the way the direction of travel, if you like, of the school. And I'm not sure many governing bodies
No,
are up to that.
no, no. I think it's when they say when you're looking for a new head teacher, and you're interviewing them, and then governors will say, "Well, can you express for me what you think the vision for the school is?" Well, the governor should be in front of the candidates saying, "Well, this is our vision for the future. Can anybody deliver that for us? Or, can you see some problems with it?" It's always the wrong way round, it feels to me.
Very late on in my role as an advisor, I swapped that question round and changed it to the governors have a clear vision for the school. What do you know about it, and how will you? Which,
Yeah.
which is a very different answer to the question,
Yeah.
because it means they've got to have at least read somewhere that the governors have a vision.
It's funny with Chelsea, we're near the end of the chat, is I feel as though the work I've done with you, Chelsea, that you created that culture, and we like that culture, and we try and encourage you to, to strengthen the culture that you've got in Innovate Her, because of the fact that it's Innovate Her isn't sort of, it's not like it doesn't, although there is a place where people work, it's not like a school, where you can sort of drop in and see all these sort of perhaps 1,000 kids and hundreds of staff all communicate with each other. It's not the same. So for me as a board member, it's very much about the culture that you've created and what we can do to support you in that sort of drive. But before we get to the end, can I just say, what is the future of Innovate Her then, Chelsea?
Big question. So this year we are focusing a lot on AI, because AI is obviously here and it's not going anywhere, and it's on everyone's minds and everyone's using it. But are we using it in the right way? And also there's a lot of fear around it, especially within education. So what we're designing at the moment is a program for young people to learn about AI and the ethic use of it, how to use it and how not to use it.
Mm,
And we'll be rolling that out next year. And then we've got big plans to enhance our e-learning platform so it's better for teachers and students to use. Currently, it's very student friendly and focused. Teachers want their own logins and
yeah.
they want to see what students are doing. So that's a big piece of like tech work that will be well, we've already started exploring. We just need to like build on that now. So yeah, it's exciting because it feels like there's so much going on in the industry. We've got to keep up. There's a little bit of pressure, but there's momentum in the team, and it's really exciting. And we've just hit our 80,000 student mark,
Wow.
and I think by the end of the year we'll be close to 100,000 young people that we will have engaged.
See, for me, the task force needs people like you on it.
Mm.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm
so
sure there will be, but it'll probably be London
yeah.
based.
Well,
Um,
that even more reason why it needs to be Chelsea.
Well,
yes.
if you're looking for a sign that things are changing, while we've been talking, my iPad's just pinged, and we now have the first female um, Bishop of Canterbury.
Oh,
Oh
right,
wow.
right.
Archbishop of Canterbury is now a female.
Wow.
You'll have to talk about that in your next
Yeah.
podcast. That can be your
I
news.
think I'm just thinking about. I have to say, Stan, I've known you since 1995. We've never spoken about religion.
No,
I have no idea what your religious
I
beliefs
I have an interest in it because my interest is in how people's brains see things and need to see things in order to make them feel comforted, and those are very diverse.
Yeah.
But I'm not a person of a particular
are.
faith.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's been a great chat. Thank you, Chelsea. Good luck with your move later today.
Oh, thank you so much.
And thank you for all that you do. And schools, if you're a parent, a governor, whatever, a teacher, head teacher, just get onto the Innovate Her website and register and start to get the free access to all these amazing programs, and start to connect with Innovate Her. It costs you nothing, like, nothing. So it could make a difference. There could be another Chelsea Slater in that room when the Innovate Her ambassador comes, who wants to sort of change the world in terms of tech.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, let's hope. But thank you very much, Chelsea, and see you next week, Stan.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks a lot.
There we go. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.